If you watched my Azerbaijan preview, you know I made some predictions, and let's just say I shift just in my guts and try not to be clever. Because Formula 1 reminded me that sometimes gut feeling is a lot better than logic. So let's talk about the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the qualifying chaos, the race day heartbreak, and how unicorn-powered cars might be the future of Formula 1. Let's start with the qualifying. I asked for red flags for this weekend, however, I did not expect a world record. 6 red flags in one qualifying session, that is the most in Formula 1's history, and it dragged on for almost 2 hours. So if you managed to stay awake through all that, congratulations, you survived Baku better than half the grid. Q1 was brutal. Alex Albon was the first one to crash into the barriers, followed by Nico Hülkenberg, who left his entire front wing at turn 4 and even ran over it. Later in the qualifying session, Gasly went wide on turn 4, and Franco seemingly thought that papaya rules applied to Alpine, so he decided to crash at the same place. Esteban Ocon qualified 18th, but he later got disqualified due to an inconsistency with his rear wing. So yeah, if you didn't crash in Q1, you are basically guaranteed going through to the next round. Q2 started with Oliver Bearman tapping the wall very lightly to the point where I didn't think there was going to be any damage. However, it was enough for him to not be able to finish the session. The shocking exit for me, at least in this session, was Lewis Hamilton, because Ferrari was doing quite a solid performance throughout the weekend. Charles Leclerc has a lot of experience and does really great in this track, and Lewis Hamilton topped the free practice 2 sessions, so I thought Ferrari was going to be in the top. Maybe not win the race or come on pole, but top 5 at least. But no, out in Q2. Then Q3 came along and Carlos Sainz was leading most of this session, mostly because there were so many red flags that most drivers could not put a whole lap together. The first red flag was brought up by Charles Leclerc as soon as the session started, and the second red flag was caused by Oscar Piastri, which ruined Max and Lando's fast laps. By the time the track was cleared from this red flag, there were only 2 minutes left in the session, and there were quite a few problems on the track. The biggest struggle that the drivers faced throughout the entire weekend was grip. Grip, no grip, no grip! Which is no surprise given that most drivers ended up in the wall. The wet paint on the track was quite slippery, there were gushes of wind going in between the buildings, and during the red flag in Q3, it started raining lightly, so there were some areas of the track that were slippery. So with only 2 minutes left in the qualifying session, it was a bit of a struggle for some drivers. Norris was not doing great, but he wasn't doing bad either. However, he ended up brushing against the wall, which completely ruined his chances of getting pole. And Max Verstappen did what Max Verstappen does, because he is Max Verstappen. Completely unfazed, nailed the pole by half a second. He is Max Verstappen. Behind him, Carlos Sainz managed to snag 2nd place, and Liam Lawson got 3rd. And I think this is the most intriguing starting 3 that we got the entire season. George Russell was not very far behind. He managed to snag P5 right behind Kimi Antonelli, and given that he was sick throughout most of the weekend, P5 is very commendable. George was feeling so ill that Toto Wolff even went out and said that they almost replaced him with Valtteri Bottas for the weekend. And listen, I don't wish ill on anyone. I want all the drivers to be safe and healthy and uninjured. However, I did have Valtteri Bottas making a comeback in Mercedes on my bingo card this year. And I would be lying if I didn't say that I was rooting for it. Just a little bit, you know, just one race. I know there's still plenty of racing to go, but if it didn't happen in Baku, I feel like it's not going to happen, and I was really hoping to complete my entire bingo card, however unrealistic it might have been. But let's continue with this weekend, because we haven't spoken about the race yet. It was not Oscar's week, to say the least. Lap 1, he jumps the gun, locks up, and straight into the wall. End of race. The championship leader gone from the race before any of us could even open our snacks, or in my case, start breakfast. And the broadcast didn't even show it live. We had to wait for the replay to show it because we only saw Oscar just dropping on the timetable. Lando didn't exactly save the day either. He had a bad quali and he got stuck in traffic. And McLaren botched his pit stop again, which cost him a place to Charles Leclerc. I am pretty frustrated with McLaren. because Lando Norris started the race on medium tires and he made them last as long as the hard tires of the other drivers did, because McLaren asked him to reduce the gap to Yuki so that he would not get undercut when he went into the pit stops. So he did exactly what they asked, and then he goes into the pit stop and he gets undercut because of the pit crew. I mean, this is the best team on the track, yet they cannot perform a good pit stop. And it's not the first or second time it has happened. It has happened quite a few times throughout the entire season. And 90% of the time, Lando is the one who's in the pit stop. So Lando ended the race 7th, which is partly to do with his horrible pit stop, but also he did have a horrible qualifying session, so he is in fault as well. But this was quite a bad result given that Oscar was out of the race and he had this huge opportunity to close the gap in the championship by so many points. And he didn't. But again, there's still quite a few races to go through, so I'm not going to say that his championship is gone because anything can happen. But of course, the plot twist that everyone was hoping for, but not many people thought was going to be possible, Williams managed to go on the podium. Carlos Sainz in a Williams was able to lose only one position to a Mercedes, which I'll take, and snag his first podium in the team. I said in my preview that if Williams didn't get a podium in Baku, they will probably not get it for the rest of the season. But I said it with the same energy. You might say, I want free pizza for life. You don't actually expect it to happen. But here we are, Williams podium. But of course, none of this would have been possible if the car hadn't been fueled by unicorns. Earlier this week, this cute little fan sent Carlos a unicorn sticker and she asked him to wear it for the rest of the season. And he put it on his helmet and look where he's at. He better wear it for the rest of the year. And even though Carlos Sainz won Driver of the Day awards, deservedly so, my driver of the day was Liam Lawson. Even though he finished 2 places behind his starting position, he was the embodiment of drive to survive. Throughout most of the race, he led a DRS train with no DRS himself. And the drivers that were trying to overtake him weren't just any drivers. They were Yuki Tsunoda, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, and Lando Norris. There were quite a few points where you could tell that the drivers behind him were getting a bit frustrated that they could not get past him.
You shall not pass!
I swear, watching those last 5 laps where Yuki was trying to overtake him at any place possible, to me, it felt like a podium battle. It was for 5th place, but the tension was there and Liam Lawson did not move at all. I think this was definitely the best drive he had the entire season. Oh, and Max Verstappen obviously won the race by like 12 seconds. No one is surprised. I was actually watching the stream at the same time as I was watching the race, and there was a point where a lot of people in the chat were asking whether Max had even pitted because he was so far ahead. And to answer that question, yes, Max did change his tires. His pit crew is just not run by McLaren. Honestly, the only disappointment for me was that after having 6 red flags in qualifying, we didn't get a single red flag during the race itself. I guess Baku decided to save the carnage for Saturday. And this is the part where I admit I should have trusted my guts. Because in my preview, I literally said Oscar is very likely to win this race unless we get a McLaren DNF. And I also said if Williams is not getting a podium in Baku, they're probably not getting one for the rest of the year. So this is the place to do it. But then in my predictions, I said, nah, let's be reasonable. Let's put Charles Leclerc in 3rd place, Lando Norris in 2nd, and Oscar Piastri in 1st. I could have looked like a freaking genius. Instead, in true Charles Leclerc fashion,
I am stupid.
But to be fair, AI didn't do much better than me either because ChatGPT predicted Max Verstappen in 3rd place, Lando Norris in 2nd, and Oscar Piastri in 1st. Which didn't happen. And Gemini predicted Lando Norris in 3rd place, Charles Leclerc in 2nd, and Oscar Piastri in 1st, which didn't happen either. So I don't feel so bad about my terrible predictions this weekend. And to update my 2025 bingo card, I can cross off Williams getting a podium, which at this point I was thinking would never come. So that was Baku for this year. Verstappen doing Verstappen things, McLaren with a surprisingly poor performance on both drivers, and Williams reminding us that Formula 1 can still surprise us in the best way possible. Let me know down in the comments how accurate were your predictions for this weekend. I hope they were better than mine. And what surprised you more, the Williams podium or Oscar crashing in the first lap? As always, thank you for joining this post-race therapy session. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all on the next one. Bye.